Hey everybody, this is part two to the first video I made of tier list of animals that I've worked with in the past. So I just wanted to intro this by saying if you could please like and subscribe, I really would appreciate. This is one of my first YouTube videos ever, and I just thought of doing this fun series because I have worked with a lot of animals before, and I thought maybe people would like to know what that experience was like. And I'll talk way more about each of my experiences as I go on with this YouTube. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, here I go. First off, I wanted to start off with the American bison. So I worked with bison at a zoo, and so it's important to note that this is within a captivity setting, but I loved working with the bison. They are such interesting animals. Like, it's so fascinating how they appear so chill and relaxed and laid back, and they're just grazing all day and interacting with each other in fascinating ways because I loved thinking about the social dynamics between males and females in the group and also young ones versus older ones. It's just like always cool to see like how a herd dynamic interacts. And I think within bison especially, it's super interesting because you don't get to see large mammals that often in America. So I found it really interesting. And the from an animal care perspective, what I had to do most of the time with working with them was feeding them, which included getting large barrels of hay and throwing them across different parts of their huge exhibit that they had. Um, so that was really fun. We got to like go in the back of a Jeep and like off road into their exhibit and throw hay everywhere. And I just thought it was really fun. And so that was really fun. And another big part of taking care of the bison was cleaning. And that is the majority, I think. Like, feeding is like 20% of the work, and then like cleaning is like a solid at least 60%. I don't know what the other like 20% is, but like I would probably say, well, the other 20% is probably like counting the bison, doing health checks, training for medical reasons, and yeah, all the other stuff that comes along with it. But cleaning is the majority of the work, and it's not the best because their poops are heavy. I put this on my Instagram too. It's like rating animals I've worked with. And oh my god, I was just reminded of how heavy their poops are. Like, ugh. It was like, I mean, like, for me, I'm not someone who gets like squeamish around poop, pee, throw up, anything like that, because I've worked with so many animals before. So it wasn't like so much like, ew, I'm like picking up poop. Like that's just part of the job. But it was like the heft to it. And I was working like not during the summer, but like wait, was it fall or springtime? No, it was springtime. So it was getting hotter. And I can't imagine working and doing that in the summer because dang. Oh my gosh, guys, you won't even believe this, but I just recorded the entire video fully. And then I realized, only then did I realize I just spent an hour like recording and downloading all these videos, and the mic broke halfway through the first animal. So I'm back, and I think I was talking about it was like the worst cutoff too. I was like, they, and then it stopped. But the animal I was talking about was the bison, and you can see I ranked it in A tier, and I think I did that to summarize because the bison is just like such an incredible, strong, big animal that like when you like watch it every day is so cool, and it makes the hard work worth it. Like picking up their poop was exhausting, and cleaning out their pool was exhausting, and even handing out food all the time was pretty hard, even though it was really cool like basically like off-roading into their exhibit and everything. It was pretty hard, manual labor a lot of the time. And but the fact is, like, working with such a cool animal is just gonna rank higher anyway, just because I think they, maybe I'm just biased, but I think they're so cool. They're kind of like tanks with a little bit of anxiety though, because they are a little jumpy. And I only experienced this, like, I only knew this fact because of this like experience, but bison can jump 6 feet in the air, and they are huge. Like, I don't even know how they're just naturally born with that kind of muscle, because they don't work out, they don't do nothing, because they're literally standing around and eating all day. But we had this day where we had to like shift a bison shifting day, which is basically like you have to put them through like a tunnel system to get their medical work done, and also load them into a truck where they can be transported to the wild population. So we had an agreement with a indigenous tribe in Montana, I believe it was, and then so we had like half of our herd like go to them every couple years. So that was the first time I ever saw a bison jump, because obviously it is a stressful experience. We try to make it as low stress as possible, but obviously like this new experience, this is unfamiliar, they're gonna be like very scared. So I saw one of them jump and I was like, oh my gosh, like the strength is truly surprising and incredible. So A tier, A tier. Okay, next is alligators. So I worked with alligators in a captive setting, but they were rescued alligators. So most of them were, capture and release type thing. Not capture, but like most of them were either previously owned for some reason. Don't ask me why. Florida people know that people do things for crazy reasons, and I don't know why they were pets, but they were. And also like rescued from, like, maybe they were hanging out in a golf course or something to be re-released. But so a lot of the alligators we were working with were around like 1, 2, 3 years old. They were kind of adolescents, not really full grown. I would say most of the alligators that I worked with were about like 2 to 3 feet long. And I have this one really really funny story. I was in charge of this one task to take an alligator, a young juvenile alligator, to from its carrier to the enclosure, and it had its mouth taped and everything, and that was fine, like totally chill. And I've done this before with younger alligators. This one was a little bit bigger, but I was like, oh, it's chill, it's fine, I can do this. And usually you'll have someone like with you, but I just like I don't know why, but it was like an independent task that day, and so I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, I've done this before, like it's literally like maybe 30 feet of a walk, so it's fine. And so I pick up this alligator. He's thrashy, and that's like how alligators are and everything. You kind of expect that, that's their behavior, it's natural. But once you kind of have them in a grip, you kind of like use your arm and like grip them really hard close to your body. Then they usually stop thrashing. They're kind of like in air jail a little bit after a while, once they calm down. But this alligator in particular that day was like being really, really thrashy, and he was using his tail. I didn't have anyone to help me, so that tail was like completely like free to do whatever they wanted. And it was like slapping me in the back, like really, really hard. And like it was actually painful. Like alligators are strong even from a very young age. They can hurt you a lot. So this alligator was like slapping me in the back consistently. I was like, ow, like what is up with this alligator? Like the temperament is just like way more angry than like all the other ones I've worked with before. And all of a sudden I feel this liquid running down my side. The alligator peed on me. Yeah. Oh my god, this is like the second time I'm telling this story, so it's like even like, oh, it's even funnier to me right now. But like I basically, from in the carrier to the enclosure, this
alligator was freaking out, and I felt so bad because I was like, oh my god, no wonder he was thrashing around so much. It's because he had to go pee, and I like was the one thing that was interrupting him, and I couldn't put him down. Obviously, like I'm literally, you know, this is like Florida. Like you're gonna run away if I put you down. So I literally held him as he peed on me, and you know what? Like working in animal care, it's not the fact that pee is gross necessarily because you work with a lot of pee and poo when you're working with animal care, but it was the fact that it was an alligator pee that threw me off because I've never even like seen who sees an alligator pee like but I experienced it that day, and it'll be one of the craziest stories I have probably in my entire life because that was like one of my first animal care jobs ever. And yeah, what a crazy experience. But then again, I was mainly working with the primates in that sanctuary, and I should say this sanctuary is a primate sanctuary, and it also had farm animals and some reptiles like snakes and alligators. So I didn't work with the alligators all that much, but when I did, that was definitely the most memorable experience that I had. And I also did a lot of education about alligators and everything. I think they're super, super cool. But from an animal care perspective, I think they are some of the most dangerous animals you could work with, some of the most strong, some of the most unpredictable. Um, Not unpredictable per se, but like they'll catch you off guard because maybe they're like chill for a second, but they can snap in like a millisecond. So I would say a D tier just because like I want to kind of balance out the chart, but also like I think I would prefer the safety of working with dogs and cats over the volatility of working with alligators again. But that's just me. And obviously, I have such respect for these animals and people who work with these animals. So yeah, all that to say is D tier for now. And next is the bears. So I've worked with two different species of bear. One was the coastal brown bear, and secondly, the black bear. So no grizzly bears, they're different. And honestly, I didn't really work with the black bears too much because the season that I was working for this zoo basically was their torpor season, or like kind of like at the end of their torpor season. So black bears hadn't woken up yet until like the very last few weeks of when I worked there, and then the brown bears woke up pretty early within that season. So I got to work with a lot of the coastal brown bears, and what I noticed was once again, I feel like this is a common reoccurrence with a lot of these animals. It's like they're so much bigger than you expect. They're so much more powerful than you expect. And when you lock eyes with them, they're so much more intelligent than you expect. And for me, my favorite part about working with them was creating the enrichment because they are strong as hell. And they can use their body weight and like you have to create things that are both challenging for them and also like durable that can withstand their pressure and create a mental challenge as well. So for me, that was a lot of using PVC pipes, a lot of power tools, a lot of hard work, to be honest, and thinking about what could challenge them. So a lot of what I made was PVC pipes that could like be manipulated to in order for the bears to grab food, and so for me that was really cool to be able to do. And one management thing that I thought was super fun and interesting for a story is that basically what you have to know is that this enclosure was very big, and there it was separated into two parts. Like I think it was like west and east and west, or maybe south and it was like there was sectors of this enclosure, and basically we would lock the bears onto one side of the enclosure where while we would go onto the other side of the enclosure, and for one, pick up any poop that we saw, two, drop off food, and three, drop off the enrichment materials that we would have. So during those times where we would go into the enclosure and do that stuff, you realize that coastal brown bears have a really funny habit of digging holes, and digging holes that are specifically super hard to notice. So when I would go into their enclosure, I'd literally fall into these holes so often. Like zookeepers would tell me, like, girl, watch out because there are a lot of holes in their enclosure. And I knew that. And I would always look on the ground. I would always look. And somehow they would always trick me. And it's really funny. And it's just like one of those animal care things that you wouldn't like really expect when thinking, like, oh, I'm going to work with bears. Like, I'm going to fall into a bunch of holes. But they were really fun. And a funny quirk about the black bears, too, were that they love to climb trees. So they don't really like dig holes that much, but they love to climb trees, which I thought was hilarious. Like sometimes you could spot them in a tree far away, and I was like, "What the heck? What is that big brown thing on the tree?" And it's literally a bear. So, yeah, I think working with the bears was so fun. They're oddly like they're really funny. I love like they wrestle with each other. They were like siblings that were there in the enclosure, and I love watching them wrestle with each other. And they're oddly kind of like very particular about like bad tastes, because when we have to like train them to for medical procedures and give them medicines and whatnot, they are very particular about the taste. And one of their medicines they would absolutely refuse to eat. They'd spit it out if you didn't give it to them with ice cream. So that was really, really funny. And I don't know, I just loved working with the bears. I would say I'd probably put them in B tier because I think in comparison to working, oh, you know what? No, I'll put them in B tier because in comparison to working with bison, I enjoyed it like less, but I also spent less time with them. So I don't know. I don't know. I could see it going A tier too, but I'm gonna put B tier for this one. And next is the Jaguar. So I worked with two Jaguars, one male, one female. Their temperaments were very different. And so again, like I want to acknowledge that like I talked about this a lot in part one, but every animal is different, and every animal has its own unique temperament, its personality. So like my experiences working with certain animals might not be other people's experience working with animals, and I just wanted to reiterate that. But with jaguars, I noticed it's a lot tougher with jaguars in captivity. I felt like they were very like stifled, and I've talked to zookeepers about this and this problem, and it is like it is openly talked about. Like, yes, ideally, no animals would be like in captivity. Like these animals are wild animals; are meant to be in the wild, but this is the circumstance that they're in, and it's our responsibility to provide a enjoyable life for them. So I noticed that jaguars have a tougher time in captivity than maybe some, or at least more obviously than some other animals do. And so it was really important to me to like make sure that I was creating enrichment that would exhibit as many natural behaviors as possible and be as engaging for the most amount of time as possible. So for me, one of my favorite activities to like facilitate and create for enrichment was a pulley system that would basically take the food item, whatever it was, and have the jaguar chase it, uh, try to jump and attack it, and also claw through it, like rip through it. And so I would use this pulley system and like take the prey, make it move super fast, go around obstacles, go up things, go down things. And I would really like try to get the jaguar to, stalk prey, lie in wait, and then run and attack and chase and climb and rip and everything like that. So I think that was the most rewarding experience. Like, to be able to provide that to a jaguar and like entertainment, and also like just I don't know, just cuz some good activity, so I really enjoyed working with jaguars. I would say they're probably S tier for me because I think they are so intelligent, so strong, so magnetic, and I don't know. I just felt like it was really cool to work with them, and I don't know. I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased towards carnivores. I'm realizing that, but I don't know. Like I think they were just one of my favorite species to work with. They're beautiful, they're strong, they're athletic, they're smart. I loved creating their enrichment. I think their enrichment was probably my favorite that I had created. And I had all different types, not just that one. But yeah, I really loved working with them. Their poo and pee is very easy to clean up, usually, compared to some other animals on here. And they're clean. They clean themselves. They take care of their own space, and I kind of like that. I appreciate that about them. So I don't know. Easy S tier for me.
And that's all the animals that I had planned for today. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long, but I just wanted to make a quick video on like all the animals that I've worked with. And if you want to know more, maybe comment. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making it. I love looking back on the memories that I've had working with different animals. And if you enjoyed this video too, please like and subscribe. You know, I said in the beginning of this episode or video that this is one of my first videos ever, so I really appreciate it. It would mean a lot. I'm trying this new thing, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I do really enjoy creating content, and I hope you like it too. So, yeah.